Okay, I'm going to call this special session board meeting dated Monday, January 12th to order. Could I have an approval of the agenda, please?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is organization of the 2026 board. The Board of Finance of each school corporation must meet annually after the first Monday and on or before the last day of January to appoint or elect the president and secretary. In 2025, myself, Mrs. Haverly, hold the office of president of the Board of Finance, and Mr. Hooker hold the office of secretary. Could I have a motion on the organization of the 2026 board?
Motion to nominate David Walker as president of the Board of Finance and Brian McKinney to the office of secretary.
I will second that. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have the investment report with Mrs. Gizzi.
Thank you. In your board backup, you'll see a familiar document. Each year, we are required to present the investment register from 2025 or the year prior. And as you can see there, that's exactly what you have, month by month interest that we received on our accounts. And also you can see that this year we were asked to record our bond interest money differently than we had in the past. So you can see that we separated that out there. So that money that we earn on our GeoBond money has to be spent on the same projects that we asked when we borrowed the money. So that was just a little bit of a clarification from what we had done in years past. And then I always love to see the revenue history at the bottom, just really showing a snapshot of what is happening in our world with interest rates. So that's such a nice gift when they come back up for us. So that they're on the investment side, not on the other side, but we'll take whatever we can get. So I'm not sure if you have any questions at this time, but we did end up earning $425,000 in interest, which does, as you can see, $375,000 roughly is received back to the education fund, and $50,000 roughly back into our for our GEO bonds.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Gizzi. Are there any comments or questions on the investment report? I too really like the revenue history. I think it's very interesting to look back over time. Any other comments or questions? Okay, no actions required. We will move on to the fiscal indicators report.
Again, this is something that we do annually, and this is a little bit trickier for me and my brain because it goes back to 2024 numbers. So that's looking at the year prior. So I have to shift gears a little bit and make sure that I'm in the right year there. And this is an interesting PDF because it doesn't show a lot of detail. We talked about this last year as well. On the last page of the document, there's a link that you can go to and you can look at each of the different indicators. Has so much more information that you can look at. It's a really valuable tool. Unfortunately, we can't share that with you in the backup because it would be a lot of pages. And you can change some of the different indicators you want to look at, and different years, different funds. So that's something you want to look at. This is one of the last documents that I saw that has Southern Hancock still at the top. So I emailed the DUAB, the Distressed Unit Appeals Board. They changed it to Newcastle Community Schools. And then before coming here, I clicked on the link and I think it messed up our information. So right now the link is not working for our school corporation, but we do have the PDF to use until they fix it. So I have an email into that to be hopefully fixed, so when you do go in and look, it will be there for you. So that was funny, not funny. So first thing you'll see here is there are 6 different indicators that we look at each year, and for all school corporations, all of those are available on that same site. So if you are curious about any neighboring schools, it's pretty fascinating, and they're all right there to look at. The first is average daily membership. We talked so much about ADM. Shelby's getting ready to do the February count right now, so that never stops. And of course, that ties so closely to our ed fund and revenue, so we watch those numbers very, very closely. But this is showing 24-25. So as you can see, the last blue bar there is the 38-36 that we were in the fall of 2024. And then in 2025 in the spring is the green, that last green bar there, we were at 37-87. So as you know, we decline a little bit each spring due to midterm grads and just some other factors. So we'll be getting those numbers, all of these things will be getting updated here for next year, but this is a snapshot of what we had last year for ADM. And then for the next indicator, demographics, this looks closely at free reduced lunch, special ed, and English language learners. So again, our free reduced students were right about 25%, very close to the year before. We're staying about that area and about that level. Special ed percentage increased slightly, and EL learners are definitely on the rise with our increased diversity in our community. The next indicator is fund balances. Really the main funds that we work with and look at are the education fund, which is in orange, the operations fund, which is in yellow, and then the rainy day fund, which is in that kind of darker kind of teal blue. But I think it gives a good idea of, it shows the size of the funds, and as you know, this is the balance that we would have ended with in 2024. So the ed fund at the end of 2024, we ended with about $4.3 million in our ed fund balance. Our ops fund was about $3.18 million in the operations fund. And then rainy day, we had about $670,000 in our fund at the end of 24. The next indicator is the deficit surplus. We've had meetings about this, and you are aware of how these things are going with our revenue and expenditures, and our goal to reduce expenditures and hopefully increase revenue as much as possible, knowing that revenue in the state is becoming tighter. So this is a great graphic to show. We always would like that green bar to be as much bigger as possible than the blue bar, but also keeping them close together, because that also means that we are compensating teachers and staff at a good level, and that we're running the buildings efficiently, getting the most out of our money. So as you can see, we did end 24 with a surplus. That black bar across, I think we talked about that maybe last year or the year before when I presented. When you go online, that shows the overall cash balance that we have right now, like our overall fund balance. So this is showing the revenue for the year, the expenditures for the year, and then what we have remaining in our cash balance as of December 31st of 24. Next is the fund balance as a percent of expenditures. This is when if you look at 2017, it was so high. We were putting money away in our rainy day fund to do some projects. So we had been building up some savings in the rainy day fund, and that's why that happened. And we did some projects, and now we're keeping it. It's kind of staying around that 23-25% range. So fund balance is a percent of expenditures. So we're looking at the fund balances with investments in education, operations, and rainy day. So those three funds, those are where we have our money. So those are the funds we're putting our revenue, and then divided by the total expenditures from those funds. And then next, with revenue by type, this shows what we already know. That big blue section is the money from our state tuition support. That's what the majority of that money is. We receive most of our funding from the state. And then the second area that we receive most of our funding from is from local tax revenue. So that would be debt service and operations fund levies through our local property taxes. And let's see, the debt revenue, that's one that will fluctuate as we issue more debt, as we have talked about, and that will be one to watch there. We can get some other revenue for our projects and our operations. And then the last is the operating referendum revenue indicator, which we do not talk about yet. You don't have to go over that one. So we'll see how that goes. Again, if you want to take time and look over that or have questions for me, or if you want to take a look at the link and then talk it over, it's really filled with really, really incredible information and data points. And if you have questions, or if you have questions now, all ears.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mrs. Kizzy on the fiscal indicators report? Okay, no action is required. So thank you, Mrs. Kizzy, for bringing the information for us to look at.
Thank
Good
you.
job, thank you.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Moved and seconded.
You guys